All right, behind me, if you look closely, that is Jess Learmont. Now, don't tell her, but I am going to take her on at 70.3 World Championships. Okay, don't be silly. Of course, I'm not actually racing her. She is an Olympic gold medalist. I am, however, going to see if I can beat her when it comes to our nutrition. Well, thanks to the guys at Precision Fuel and Hydration, we have full access to the numbers for Jess Learmont for her nutrition plan. They've also given me a very strict nutrition plan, and I want to compare both of us, and not just what our actual plans are, but also how well we perform on race day according to those plans. So I'm going to be going through exactly what Jess eats the night before, the morning of, and her plan for the race day, as well as mine. And then we're going to do a full deep dive review with Emily, their sports scientist, to see how we did compared to our plans, but also how we did compared to each other. And I am up for this challenge. So I will see you on the other side of my race. Let's take a look at how our individual race nutrition plans stack up. It's glaringly obvious that Jess has much bigger numbers to hit. I already knew that. She's aiming to average 90 to 100 grams of carbs an hour. I will be aiming for 60 grams. She also has a higher sweat rate and therefore is targeting a higher fluid intake. With this disparity in numbers, the goal is not to see who consumes the most, but who executes their race nutrition plan to precision. Okay, so it's the day after the race, and just a reminder that I'm comparing how well I did to my plan and how well Jess did to her plan. I have no idea what she did. I know that mine was not optimum, but it's time for a reality check. I'm going to see Emily from PF&H, who's going to give me the full rundown and let me know how well I've done. All right, Emily, I think I know that I haven't won this. I don't know Jess's numbers yet, but let's just go through the comparison. Starting the night before, what did Jess consume and what was her plan?
Yeah, so Jess had some carbonara. She went pasta heavy.
Yeah.
And she has some pH 1500 to hydrate.
Okay.
What did you have?
You're laughing at me already because I know that you know. Okay, so we were filming most of the day, so it was a bit hectic. I kind of had a sandwich at 4 o'clock that was actually lunch, but kind of ended up then filling me up too much that I couldn't eat my dinner. I had some ice cream and that tipped me over the edge. So actual evening, I sat down and I couldn't face the pasta, so I had a chocolate muffin and a cup of tea. And I also thought about PF&H, but it didn't go with my muffin.
Mm-hmm.
So
just had water?
it was tea with a little dash of milk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could have been a little bit better.
It definitely could have done. I knew that. But I was ready to rectify things in the morning. So let's move on. Let's put that aside. Jess wins on that one.
Yeah, she nailed her carb load overall.
Yeah, she did.
Mm-hmm.
I did eat some sweeties throughout the day when we were filming as well. So.
Not bad.
Okay, the morning, what did Jess have for breakfast?
So she had a big bowl of rice with jam and honey, and she also had a banana with that. And then she had a coffee and some pH 1500 to hydrate before the race.
Okay, well, that sounds nice. I did manage to find some sourdough bread, so I had 2 slices of toast, which I think was like pretty much on target. My coffee was... That's a long story, but I had a bit of coffee, but it was a bit gross because I didn't really make it properly because I needed the coffee. The irony. And then I did have, I think it was 1,000 in my bottle that I was drinking, but it ended up, because I spilt a load, pouring half of that into my bike, so that I had it on the bike, but so I had half of a bottle of 1,000, I think, in the end, and then some water, but that was sort of user error more than anything. The plan was on-ish.
So not bad on the carbs, but could have been maybe better to hydrate.
Yes, it could have been. So breakfast, Jess nailed. I was better than the night before, somewhere average. Let's get to sort of the business end of things, the race. What was Jess's pre-fueling plan and what did she do?
So she had a final caffeine gel just before the swim. And then on the bike, she completely stuck to her plan to hit about 100 grams an hour, then drop down to about 90 grams per hour on the run. But overall, across the race, if you include the swim time, she hit about 90 grams per hour.
Okay, and that was her overall target?
Yeah, and that was spot on her plan.
Wow. So I couldn't have beaten her anyway. I could have matched.
Not quite. You could have matched if you met your plan.
Yeah. I didn't. You know that. And it did start really well. So I had a caffeine gel 15 minutes before the swim start, and I finished my bit of water that I managed to actually buy walking to the swim start because I'd run out. I know, some other lady bought it for me, which was very kind of her. I was not a charity case. But anyway, yeah, I had a gel, which I don't normally do before the swim, but that was the plan. So I was like, okay, and it felt fine. And then I was onto the bike and I was like, right, I've got to wait for some reason I didn't think about having something straight away. I did swallow a tiny bit of seawater. And I was like, 15 minutes, that's my target of like, take a chew. Got one in, and then at 30 minutes past, I got another one in. I was like, and I also think because of the bike, I knew the descents might be hard to take nutrition on. I was trying to really make sure I stayed on top of it going up the hill. And I got to about an hour, and I think I was pretty much on target. I'd had 3 chews, and then I went to some squiggly worms instead, just to mix it up. And then I just felt, was repeating the nutrition, and I really was worried then that actually I'd be better off being slightly underfueled and not being sick. So it just felt like my stomach was really full. And I was trying to drink to thirst and just kind of trying to just keep drinking, and was aware of when the next aid station was. I was like, oh no, I've still got enough. So I filled up, I think, on the 3rd one, and that was enough hydration for me. But yeah, and I think I had another chew once I was sort of on the way back down. I was like, oh, I'm about to start the run. I haven't really eaten anything. Better get that in. Picked up my two gels for the run in my pocket, and they were still in my pocket at the end.
Yeah. In terms of hydration then as well, Jess stuck to her plan on the bike, picked up 2 extra bottles of pH 1000 as well. So she was drinking a lot. She drank about 1 litre per hour on the bike.
Is that normal? That sounds a lot.
She's got a really high sweat rate, so she needs to drink a lot. And it did get quite hot on race day, but was drinking a lot more than you, probably because also she was sweating a lot more than you.
Yeah, and she's obviously going a lot faster and, well, harder.
A higher relative intensity, so that played a part in her higher sweat rate as well.
Okay. So one thing that I think limited my, like, really upping my hydration was the fact that I kept needing the bathroom, and I had a wee on the swim, and I don't know if I should even say this on camera, but under Tasha's advice from PF&H that I felt like I needed a wee on the bike, so I would normally just stop drinking. But I was like, I'm going to try a wee just so that I could keep to my plan. So that for me felt like quite a lot of peeing. Like, is there something I could have done different to help that? Did it mean I was hydrated? What did that mean?
It's really individual, and some people pee more than others during the race. But if you look at what you did in your strategy, like my first place to look is pre-race. And if you compare, like, for example, you and Jess, Jess stuck to her preload completely. So that was using a really strong electrolyte drink, the pH 1500, 2 hours before, and finishing it about an hour before.
Oh, wow, okay.
So she timed that well, and she had a good concentration. She had no additional plain water to dilute that, in comparison to you, and you had that plain water, and you just used the pH 1000, so it was a little bit more dilute, and then you diluted it even more.
Yeah.
So, and the timing was a bit closer to the race start as well. So that's the difference that I look at that might have played a part, especially in you peeing early in the race, in the swim as well.
Okay, and that makes complete sense. And then what about the point where on the bike I got to that just like, oh, I'm nailing this, oh no, I now start to feel a bit sick. What should I have done? Did I do the right thing? Should I have tried to fight through it? Like, for other people, I'm sure they've all been in that position of, like, just feeling a bit like, oh, being sick. And we see some of the pros actually being sick. Like, Christian has been famous for that recently. Yeah. What's your advice on that?
Yeah, it's really easy looking back to say, like, and know, okay, maybe could have gut training helped you hit 60 grams per hour overall, but I think you did the good thing not to completely force 60 grams per hour down every hour, and knowing that you might have and probably would have been sick doing that, and it was good to maybe drop down a bit, but I think dropping down to nothing, especially on the run, was a bit too much, and it would have been good if you could get something consistently in, be that something small, a little bit of gel just to sip on, Coke, for example, or something to just keep your energy levels up a little bit more to help you just go harder for longer.
And from looking at my hydration numbers, what's your analysis of that?
Possibly that you could have done a bit more. The relative sodium concentration you took on was similar to your losses, but overall that fluid quantity was only about 300 millilitres per hour on the bike.
Okay.
And your losses, although lower than Jess's, would have probably been a bit higher than that, and you would have been in this deficit. And you could have been drinking a little bit more and taking on a bit more sodium with that.
Okay. I mean, I used to do a mixture of just 500 and water, and this time I actually did just 1,000. So I felt like, I was ready to sort of up it. Although I did, and I knew that in my head as I was coming towards the end of the bike, I was thirsty, and I thought, oh dear. So then as a result, I did drink on the run, but the run wasn't my limiting sort of factor in the performance. So for Jess, was her fuel and hydration was on point? Was there anything she could have done better that could have improved her performance, although it was still a very good performance?
Yeah, no, she nailed it, really. She kind of hit all of the plans. She nailed pre-race. She got everything right on the bike and on the run. So I wouldn't recommend she changes anything. Okay, and would you recommend I change anything? Maybe just a little bit more of, if you'd maybe practiced a bit more with the strategy and done a bit more gut training to help fuel as much as you were aiming to do on the bike to try to hit that 60 grams per hour that you're aiming for. Not jump to Jess's 90, but if you'd have tried to just go for 60 a bit more and kind of go confident going into it that your stomach can handle that, and then implement the 60 hopefully, and be able to like consistently hit that across the bike.
Yeah, okay. I do feel like I sort of handed in my homework and got a lot of red pen over it, but I knew that coming into this. One thing I did find quite interesting, that when chatting to Jess beforehand, that she was going to choose on the bike, and that's relatively unusual for pros, you say?
Yeah, so I collect a lot of pros and amateur data of what they do in middle distance races, and not a lot of them use chews, I'd say. Or a lot of people say that they prefer gels in that scenario on the bike, but Jess is one of the only pros that we work with who consistently uses chews, and in this case chew bars on the bike here, and she did that as part of her strategy, and it all worked fine on the day to hit like 100 grams per hour on the bike.
That's really cool, because I like, I like to sort of see a pro do something that I like to do. So that's it's one takeaway, that I was going for the same type of fuel, even if not the same amount.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I found that really interesting, just seeing Jess's, more than sort of comparing mine. And I'm sure you guys have taken more away from this by seeing what the pros do and how you guys recommend it. But if you have any questions about race fueling, if you have great plans like I do and it didn't work out on race day at some point, let us know in the comments section below. If you've got any really technical questions, I will get Emily to help answer them. But if not, we'd just love to hear from you. So, Emily, thank you very much. Thanks to you guys for watching. If you want to support us, do give us a like.